Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 16th CineYouth Film Festival. My name is Ryan Saunders. I'm the festival director here at CineYouth. We're really excited to be presenting this conversation with a group of filmmakers that have been at CineYouth in the past and also at NFFTY, the National Film Festival for Talented Youth. I wanted to quickly just thank our sponsors for the festival, Adobe for sponsoring, and Hamilton Watch and DePaul University. Without them, this festival wouldn't be possible. And I'd like to specifically shout out NFFTY for helping us put together this panel. This is a really exciting opportunity for us to collaborate. Throughout the years, we've shared a lot of filmmakers. It's a fun relationship of having young filmmakers participate at both of our festivals, and they're all very a savvy bunch. And I have Dan here from NFFTY, so I'd like to bring him up, and he could share a few words, talk about NFFTY and the festivals. Hey, Dan.
Hi, Ryan. Thanks again so much for inviting us to collaborate on this. NFFTY, like CineYouth, has also been around for about the same amount of time, so it really makes sense that we've seen a lot of the same filmmakers over the years, and excited to bring a few of them forward today. And I want to also just briefly give a shout out, since it's Mother's Day, to all the moms out there who may be watching, and if not, just in general, it's been so amazing to see so many incredible young filmmakers throughout the years. And I know that without the support of mothers and grandmothers and everybody else, it would not be possible to be so accomplished and confident. And so thank you for all the producing, or just like craft services, or everything else that you do behind the scenes in all these films. It's incredible. Yeah, so we're really excited to be having this conversation with this group of filmmakers today. They've all done amazing work that's screened at both of our festivals and festivals all around the world. So this is going to be a real interesting global conversation. And I also just want to briefly thank our moderator. We're really excited to get James Choi, who's an instructor at DePaul University, and also a producer on one of my favorite films from the past few years, St. Francis, which won both a jury award and a audience award at South by Southwest. So James, please join us, and thank you for moderating today's conversation.
Yeah, absolutely, Dan. Thank you for that introduction, and really excited to be here. Love working with young filmmakers, and I know you guys are two of the biggest supporters of that. So I'm excited to jump in with these guys and dive into this very important and relevant subject.
Great. Yeah, thank you again, James, so much for being here. I'm gonna back out with Dan, and I'm gonna bring up the filmmakers now.
Awesome. See you guys.
Thanks, Dan.
All right. Welcome, guys. Good to see you, and good to meet you all online. As I was just saying, as we were coming into this room, just how important this is, especially in light of where we're at. I think we can all agree, as filmmakers, there are very few things more satisfying than sitting in a crowded, full packed theater and watching your film on this giant screen, all your fruits of labor being put up for an audience to enjoy, and you to share your work and your voice out there. So super important, especially as we get into this sort of digital world of tablets and laptops and phones, and who knows where the theaters are going to end up once we get back into the new normal. So it just makes the festival life and the festival circuit and what they do that much more important. So just really excited to dive in. I know you guys are all super talented filmmakers. So before we jump in, just for the audience, I'd like to, if you guys can share a little bit about who you are. I know you guys are from all over the place, so maybe share with people where you are, what kind of shorts, what kind of stories you guys tell. And then maybe just something real quick about sort of what your short-term goals are as filmmakers and what you're sort of looking to do with these steps that that you guys are going through right now. So why don't we start with, I guess you guys aren't in the same order as what I'm looking at, right? Or no? You guys want to just jump in?
Sure, yeah. My name is Don. I was a CineYouth and NFFTY alum in the 2019 run. And I made the film called Umbilical Cord to Heaven, which won the Best Experimental Film on both. And I'm from the Philippines. I came to the United States for college, and I studied for 4 years with a directing concentration at DePaul University. And yeah, and now I'm back in the Philippines developing the new short film. And this year I was in the Clermont-Ferrand International Short Film Festival for a film titled Hilam, which won the International Student Jury Prize and the special mention from the international jury. And since then, we still have the film out into the festival circuit. Still hoping for the best for its run, and yeah, for now we'll see how it goes while I'm developing the next film. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Especially proud of Don teaching at DePaul. So amazing to see our students go out and just starting to really make a mark. So congrats on that, Don. That was so awesome.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jules Green. I am a CineYouth and NFFTY alum from 2018 and 2019. I had a live action film called The Hammer and the Lamb that screened in 2018, and then my animated film Night Riders screened in 2019. I graduated from Oberlin College in 2019, and now I live in Los Angeles. And I think as a filmmaker, I am trying to, I guess, accomplish what, well, I guess I wanted to become a doctor when I was a kid, but I didn't end up becoming a doctor. So as a filmmaker, I kind of want to do what a doctor does, hopefully under best circumstances, which is heal people's bodies and minds through the medium, and basically just speak my own truth, and hopefully make something that helps people.
Awesome. Nice to meet you, Jules.
Hi, I'm Theo Taplitz. I'm a NFFTY and a CineYouth alum. For a couple of years now, I started submitting stuff in middle school, and now I'm a senior in high school. Yeah, I've been making films for a little while now. Right now in CineYouth, I have a film called Spithead. Yeah, films are trying to sort of bring about a sort of subjective experience to the screen, and hope through kind of a microcosm it speaks to a wider audience and a kind of personal experience and feeling. But yeah.
Love it. I love it, Theo. I love it that you're telling stories through this medium since you were so young, and I know that's definitely a huge trend now. Or you know, that's the world you guys live in. I love it. So awesome.
Hi, I'm Rain Bracken. I've had 3 films screen at NFFTY, and this is my second film to screen at CineYouth. Last year, I won the audience choice in my screening at NFFTY, and that's my film Swipe Right for Murder that's screening here this year. I think my films, I like to experiment with like both live action and animation, and sometimes it becomes like a little bit mixed media. And my films kind of waffle between being really whimsical or really murderous, or somewhere in between. And I like to focus on like stories surrounding women. I started making films in high school at the Etobicoke School of the Arts, and I just graduated from Ryerson University, majoring in film as well. And yeah, I'm just trying to keep making films now in the new world.
Awesome. So you're at Ryerson in Toronto?
Yeah.
Awesome. Do
I
you know
just graduated from Ryerson last year.
last year? Okay. We have I have an amazing friend who Don knows as well that teaches there. Alareza Katami. Amazing guy. Awesome, Rain. William?
Hey everyone, so my name is William. I am like everyone, a NFFTY and CineYouth alum. My short film, The Trespasser, played a couple years ago. I can't say the exact year because of time is an illusion, but yeah, we won the audience award at NFFTY and got a special mention at CineYouth. Since then, my last short film came out last year on Apple TV, and I've currently been dabbling in the world of commercials with some global brands, which is interesting. And I am now basically in development for my first feature, and at the position of like talking to some production houses and studios to see how that progresses. But yeah, it all started with CineYouth and NFFTY. So
Awesome.
So,
Well, again,
I do thriller, folktale, pseudo horror, weird stuff. That's me. What I make.
Nice. Awesome. Well, welcome all of you guys. So great to again meet you guys. And so let's dive in. I mean, as I talked about, or as we opened the festival circuit, the importance of that, and you guys are obviously both alums of both places, I'm sure, and many other places. Tell me about, I'd love to hear your experiences, either your first experience or your best experience at a fest, and what about it was memorable for you, or something that you really took away with. Maybe that was the thing that hooked you guys in to continue down this crazy path of filmmaking. But if you can share with us a little bit about your first or best experience at a fest and what that was like, that'd be great. Jules, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, so my first festival experience was, I think it was CineYouth in 2018. And I remember being very nervous because I had never had a film at a festival before and hadn't really been to one. But I kind of just dove into like talking with other filmmakers, and I'm kind of like an introverted extrovert, so there was kind of a learning curve for me there, but it was all about for me kind of being like a sponge and just absorbing like all these different creative voices on screen, in the screenings as well. And then like I had another experience where my film, The Hammer and the Lamb, screened at a festival in New Zealand, and I got to go to New Zealand, and I had never been to New Zealand before, but I have like ancestral roots there, and so that was a really special experience because there was an added cultural element to it that was just really amazing. And I guess kind of what I love about festivals is that there's this sense of community and creative energy that really is specific to wherever you are and wherever the festival is. And so that's just something that I picked up from both those experiences.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, the traveling part is so, I mean, or just to be able to see other parts of the world that you otherwise not. And I always equate that to, I mean, New Zealand is so is amazing. But it's fun just to go to like, all the towns and cities in the Midwest that you'd never really go to. So yeah, I love that. Don?
Yeah, my first festival experience was CineYouth. Of course, I didn't get to travel. I just had to take the L and get to Music Box. But the festival was very accommodating and hospitable. And I think that really left a good mark on my impressions on, festivals in general. And it's the same with NFFTY too. When I went to Seattle to screen the film, it was also very enjoyable. It's my first time in the West. So yeah, it was a great experience overall. Plus, I guess like winning in those festivals too kind of gave some type of, like encouragement for me to keep going, and keep making films that I think I like I think I have the voice in making. Yeah,
Awesome.
It's the hospitality and the opportunity to showcase my voice as a filmmaker.
Yeah, awesome. William?
Yeah, so my first festival wasn't, I don't know, it was kind of memorable, but I'm not sure. I think it took place in a university campus with like 20 students attending. And I think initially I was like, so this is what filmmaking is. But then they kind of gave me a little award for best thriller, and I was like, so this is what filmmaking is. I think there are two festivals that really stood out to me in my experience of going to a couple of different festivals, and that would be the Pan Africa Film Festival and NFFTY. At the Pan Africa Film Festival, it was interesting because that was the first time I went to a festival and really understood. Let me start with NFFTY. NFFTY was probably the best curated festival I've been to. And why it was so important for me to go at the time I did with my film was because it was the most inspirational and humbling experience I've had at a festival. Because with NFFTY, it was a thing where I could see all the talent around, and I could see what people that were 10 years younger than me were doing. And it just made me want to push harder and do more, but also humbled me in the sense of knowing that there's so many talented young filmmakers, and that's something that stuck with me for a long time. Sadly, I did not have £1,000 to fly out for CineYouth, but Pan Africa, that was a completely different experience. Pan Africa was seeing the potential business sides of festivals and really understanding that you go there to watch films, experience, have memories with other filmmakers, but also to network, meet new people, sell yourself, sell your film potentially, and film festivals, those were two that really stuck out as were great experiences and learning experiences for me.
Awesome. Theo?
I think my first kind of festival was at my middle school in our auditorium. We had a little film festival where all the kids who were in, we had a filmmaking little program inside of that, got to screen their film. And that was really exciting. I mean, again, like everyone's been saying, getting to see your film, with your peers in an environment was really, really exciting. And see how people reacted to it. But I think my first real proper film festival was NFFTY, and that was amazing. I came in as a middle schooler, and getting to see my film and other middle schoolers' films inside of that, but then also go to the Monday screening and get to see the high school films, and then going to the next day and getting to see films by people in their early adulthood. And getting that, inspiration, I think as like a young person, it was so exciting to see that, this is where my film is now, and build a community and find people from all over, the place inside of that, but also see this is what my filmmaking can be in the future. And this is what I can do in the future. And I know because I've seen people do it. And that was so exciting. And I've met so many cool, really interesting people that I've been able to stay in contact with and have worked with through that festival. And I know the term networking is a sort of scary term for some people, but it was really just a place to like connect with really fun people who were as motivated and dedicated to film as I was at that age. So that was really, really exciting for me.
That's amazing. That's awesome, man. Yep. Rain?
Yeah, so my high school put on a bunch of festivals every year because I was in a film program. But I think the first festival that I was in that I had to submit to was the Toronto International Film Festival has a high school division called Jump Cuts that's open to students in Ontario. And I got in and ended up winning Best Animation in that, which was really cool. And I just remember the first few times like you screen your films, hearing like audiences react to your films is so interesting, like where they laugh, where they gasp, where they like seeing people have like a visceral reaction to your work is really cool. And then also how people have mentioned like NFFTY, like my first time going to NFFTY when I was a teenager was like crazy, because you see all this work that people are doing. Like, I think also as a young filmmaker, you put a lot of limits on yourself of like what I can't do. It's like, oh, well, I'm not professional enough to do this. I don't have enough connections to do this. I don't have enough money. But then you see people your age or just a little bit older and what they're doing, and you leave feeling just so inspired, and like meeting these people and seeing like how they got to where they are in just like a few years ahead of you or the same age as you. And yeah, you just leave being like, I like totally motivated to make your next work.
Yeah, so true. I mean, you guys, I mean, festival, it's so important, and you guys bring this up. A lot of people of you guys brought this up of just community, right? And just finding this community and finding inspiration there's nothing like it. And it's really important, I think, to just know that, you know, that networking and that continued growth. I mean, you guys are going to know, and if you don't, you will, but you know that the film industry and the film business and filmmaking is really a people business. Like, you have to connect. It's about connecting. And you can label that however way you want, but you also have to know that you're not going there to hit a grand slam. I think Theo brought up an interesting point. Like, sometimes you go to places and you meet one person, but that person in this long leg and this long journey could be very critical and central in your growth and in your in the way that you work. And so it's all about that experience. And the great thing is, you know, you guys all went and got to experience it. I know things have changed this last year of everything going virtual. The importance of actually being at a festival and showing up and actually participating and not being a passive attendee where you're just like, it's in. I'm just showing up. My film's going to screen, but just that involvement and all the other things that involves a festival is so critical. I mean, there's a thousand, and I just want to keep it open now, and you guys can jump in, but there's hundreds and thousands of festivals now. It's not cheap. You have to think about where you want to play, why you want to play there. When you guys are thinking in terms of, so you guys have had success and you guys are moving forward, when you finish your films, what is your strategy? What do you guys do to sort of sort through all these festivals and figure out, okay, what am I going to do? Where am I going to submit to first? How am I going to plan this out? Share with us some of the things that you guys do or your strategies in regards to how you approach that.
I'm not going to go first with that one, actually. So this is, I kind of had to go a couple of years of just like throwing money into a fire to kind of like get like a methodology, and very, very simple in a sense. If you made a film to play at as many festivals as you want, as it can, I think the best kind of strategy I've seen is for me to first of all look at what kind of festivals like this kind of film I'm making. If it's a thriller that's very alternative, what kind of festivals does that fit in with? If it's more drama or more comedy, and then how I take that is I start with applying to kind of like the BAFTA and Oscar qualifiers. And then with that, you'll get probably rejected by most of them, but you might get into one of them. And then if you kind of get a feeling for like which kind of festival, which kind of big festival you're leaning towards, you can then find the smaller festivals that kind of are in that kind of vein, if that makes sense. So apply to the big ones. If you get into one of them, apply to the smaller ones that are kind of like the big ones. That's my strategy.
That's a great strategy. And I think it's so important, as you said, especially when you're young. It's so easy to just like literally throw your money into a pit and just be like, I'm going to just apply everywhere. And William, the importance of understanding the festivals, right? It's like anything. It's like writing your scripts, understanding your character. Like, you got to dig in. You can't, like, this is not a free for all, one size fits all. You got to research your places. You got to research the festival directors. I mean, and we have no excuse now. I mean, we can look everybody up and find information about people's likes or people's whatever they are. And so there's no excuse to just be in the blind. And I think that's a really important note. Anyone else have any thoughts on this? Yep, Theo?
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback off of what William was saying and just put forward a platform that's been really, really helpful for me. Film Freeway has been really great for both looking at festivals. You can kind of curate what sort of, how your film is, and you can see a list of festivals and where your film might fit in. But then also it provides a place for you to upload them and submit them. I know that was really, really great for me. And just, especially for kids who are in the kind of middle school, high school range, it's really important to find those places that are, specifically catered towards younger filmmakers. I mean, CineYouth and NFFTY are great examples, and I feel like those are really kind of gold standards because you've got middle school, you've got high school, but then you've got also young adult films. And you see those kind of bridging the gap between, sort of independent and professional. And I know personally that was very, very inspiring. But then there's tons of other smaller festivals that are really, really good, like, Mill Valley or San Francisco International Film Festival. Or if anyone's in California, the Harvard Westlake Film Festival. I mean, I could list hundreds, that would fit for any one. Those are just a couple, but yeah, I mean, just look on Film Freeway. Like William said, figure out kind of what your film fits. If it fits a specific niche, there are festivals for your film. And don't be discouraged by rejections either. I mean, it takes time to find your audience and find the place that, really resonates with your type of filmmaking. So just, keep on doing and keep on practicing. And continue making, films. Don't get discouraged if one film doesn't, get out. Just focus on the next one and put your all into it. So, yeah.
Awesome. Anyone else?
Speaking on that too, I think there's also other platforms just like Film Freeway, such as Short Film Depot. I think. I think that's where a lot of more international film festivals kind of exist. And there's a bunch of other ones, but you kind of I think Film Freeway is the most popular one right now, but you find the more kind of alternative options in the websites of specific festivals. So definitely research the festivals and hear what other filmmakers are submitting to. For my latest film, Helam, I think we really tried to strategize with it because it's like a 26-minute film, and it has subtitles, and it's set in the provincial part of the Philippines. So, not everyone will have the patience for that type of film. And plus it moves really slow too. So we really targeted kind of regions of the world that are more welcoming of those types of cinematic tradition. So we submitted to a lot of European ones, Asian film festivals as well. We didn't have really much luck in the US, but we're still, in the running for finding the right festival for it. But definitely researching what is the right festival for your film. If people have the same patience for it in this side of the world or not, or people are more welcoming of this type of cinematic tradition. Also kind of knowing your audience, really, in the end of the day. Yeah.
We got to get you out back to Chicago, Don. Chicago International. Helam's made for Chicago. Anyone else?
Oh.
Right? You have Jules? Okay. Yeah, I mean, so I think those are really important, all really great points. One thing to think about too, and I don't know how much this goes into your thinking, but especially in the beginning, obviously beyond the tier 1 festivals, right? And you can really sort of figure out, okay, where is that going to fit? Because even that's different, right? Like Sundance is vastly different from South by, and Tribeca is even different. But proximity is important. And I think that's something, because as we said, it's like, I don't know how much experience you guys have had, or if you guys do that, but like sending out to 100 festivals and not going to any of them, just like you're just sending it off, and it's like, you're like, I'm never going to go there. It's impossible. It's so expensive. Like, but my film's just going to be there. It'll screen. I think there's something to you guys physically trying to be at these things if you can. And so, you know, as we open with, like, there's thousands and hundreds of festivals, which means that wherever you are, there are a lot of festivals around you that are local, that are amazing, that have an amazing built-in audience. And again, the idea of networking, of connecting, that happens all over the world, in all parts of the world that have people who love cinema, which is basically everywhere. And so I think it's important to think in terms of like, where can I drive to? Where can I, like, what are festivals around me that are reasonable, where I can just get a group of friends and go have a great weekend, be active participants, connect? Because those connections, you guys, you know, as you guys know, but the benefits of fests, like, go so far beyond the screening, right? I mean, you can meet people there who love your work and want to finance your stuff. You could find collaborators. You can find locations. I've gone back to cities I've screened at where I love the aesthetics of the city to come, and with the support of those people, right? So proximity, I think, is a really big one to think about, aside from everything that you guys had mentioned for young filmmakers. Because I think, you know, it's really important to show up, right? Or physically be there if you can. What do you...
Can I just pop in just a quick just to jump on what you said just quickly. So this is kind of for all the socially awkward people out there. So straight out of film school, first festival I went to before that wasn't actually my own film, but just a festival in general, was this small thing we have in the UK, which is the BFI Soul Fest. It's every quarter. It's held by the BFI, which is the British film industry. And my friends basically forced me to go. And I found it very difficult talking to people. So they had like an hour networking. And I sucked at it. First time I went, I couldn't do it. He dragged me again 3 months later. I networked with him by my side. And I did that a couple of times until eventually I got confident enough to start networking myself. And what I found in the case of, like, you never know who you're going to meet, the person actually ran that festival. He saw me a couple of times. Because I got confident in talking, I actually went up to talk to him. We kind of hit it off because he was kind of the same, not extroverts. And long story short, a couple years down the line, because I went a couple times, because I met him, interacted with him, got to know him, basically an agency was looking for talent, and he recommended me, and I got a meeting with them, and then I got representation. So that all happened because I went out of my comfort zone and started forcing myself, with the help of other people, to network and talk. And yeah, literally, you have no idea where that can go. And even if it takes you a long time, and even if you do need that support, I think that you deserve to give it a shot, because at the end of the day, you have no idea where it's going to lead.
Yeah, for sure. That's such a great story, William. And I think it's so important, you guys. You know, another key point to address, and I don't know how much, I'm curious if you guys go, but festivals are not just for people who have films. Like, as a filmmaker, like, you should attend festivals and support festivals whether you have a film there or not. And I think, you know, amidst this, the competitive sort of arena where there's thousands of films and they're only able to screen, you know, a handful, you know, those things help, that knowing. And so if you go as an attendee, or you go, if you have free time, you can volunteer at festivals. But really getting to build a community of festival programmers and people who are at that fest, and connecting with them on a human level is only going to benefit and help when you have a film ready, so that it's not just a cold, like, one of thousands that are just being sent in. And so just, you know, I think it's important to think about your participation and what that means. And it's, as a filmmaker, and it's not always just about your film. Obviously, that is the goal But I think it's really important. So hopefully you guys, do you guys go to a lot of festivals on your own? I know it's hard. It's like, it's such an easy message to throw across where people are like, yeah, I'm going to try. And then, you know, it's tough. But do you guys get a chance to go, or is it tough to find time to do that?
Well, oh, sorry. I was only able to go to CineYouth and NFFTY, and then COVID hit and everything turned digital. So yeah, I kind of only just began with it, and now I'm just more used to like the online style festival, and I've adapted to that.
It's been amazing, right? I mean,
yeah,
especially this year. I mean, although the participation is more difficult, but it's amazing to like be able to get a full line of Sundance. Like Sundance tickets for shorts was like, you know, $20, and you can get like all the shorts and like, you know, the best of award winners. I mean, those are things that you know, if you wanted to do it in the past, like you'd have to spend thousands on your ticket, hotel room, and now you can basically get access to the world of festivals at your fingertips. Now, of course, that's a very unique year we've had. It'll be interesting to see where that all lands once we get out of this. How has it been for you guys? There was a question from the audience about, you know, as filmmakers, what advice do you have for trying to get work seen during the pandemic, or just this new world that we've been in? And obviously, hopefully, we're at near coming to an end here, but just never know. But how's that been for you guys? What have you guys been? How have you guys been active, and what have you guys been doing in regards to sort of having that platform sort of change completely? Anyone?
I mean, I think it's interesting because even though, like, obviously festivals are different than before, but most of them have tried to keep running because like everyone, like you can't just let your life stop. Like I know NFFTY ran last year and CineYouth is running now. And so these festivals are still going and so you can keep submitting even though it's like a bit of a different experience. But in some ways your audience is a lot wider because not everybody can afford to fly to Seattle every year that there's NFFTY, or fly to Chicago every year that CineYouth has screenings. And because of that, like because of COVID this year, festivals have made an effort to have online networking events, have all these things that are completely accessible and free. Like this CineYouth all the screenings are free this year. And it's like, it's something that maybe we can take advantage of instead of seeing as a hindrance this year.
Yeah, definitely opens up the audience tremendously, right? I mean, again, it's so sad to not be able to be in a theater with a live audience, but at the same time, it does open up your work to so many more people. And you know, I guess that's the constant struggle with filmmakers, right? We're trying to figure out that balance of like reach and experience. Anyone else have any thoughts about what you guys have been doing or what you guys are trying to do? And do you guys even see where, have you guys utilized any sort of online platforms for your work?
Yeah, well, I mean, I completely agree with Rain that the festivals are still going on. You can still submit. You've got a larger audience base. So that's very important. And I think that should be highly encouraged to continue doing that. In no way is this a hindrance to getting your work seen, at least. And additionally, I mean, there are platforms in which you can, post your films. I mean, obviously, there's like, Vimeo is a good platform. So is YouTube to a certain extent. I mean, if you just want to get, your stuff out there and seen, those are opportunities in which to do so. But would strongly suggest also submitting them to film festivals, not to just stop it, at any of these platforms. I mean, it's important to make sure your film gets, a kind of well-rounded feel of every opportunity that is given to you. And the more that you get it out there and get yourself seen, the better the more it will be seen, So.
Yeah, for sure. And again, I think the world as we see it and the way that we approach things, I mean, sites like Omoletto on YouTube, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. But it's almost like an extended fest, and it provides a very sort of directed audience towards your work. So you're not just, putting it on your YouTube page, but there's sort of a structure and a showcasing behind it. And obviously Vimeo and staff picks and other sites like that, shorts, short of the week. But I think all of those are gonna become sort of that integral play, and you want to try to figure out how you guys can sort of balance the live with the digital here and the remote and the virtual. Another big thing to sort of discuss, I mean, it's almost impossible not to talk about, is when you're thinking in terms of making the most of your festivals circuit and drive, is the costs, right? I mean, that's big, especially for young people. Like, I don't think people realize, when you're working on a super micro budgeted film, like your submission costs, depending on where you submit to, could like be one of the more expensive parts of your budget that you might not be thinking about as you're making your film. How does that play in? Like, what have you guys done in regards to thinking in terms of some sort of strategy, or like, how are you going to address the costs of submitting to all these festivals?
So for me, like when I started submitting to festivals, I already, just as a person, I hate spending money. And so I kind of picked a number in terms of the threshold in which I would spend for submission fees on a specific festival. And I was like, anything over that is just no. Even if it's like Oscar qualifying, if it's more than this amount, I'm just not even gonna go for it. But what's really important, a really important strategy for me is submitting early, because early bird, like kind of that stage of the submission cycle, I guess, is when fees tend to be lowest. Sometimes they're even free. A lot of them are like $10, which is very doable for me as someone who was in college and now I'm out of school. And so basically planning and filtering within Film Freeway when the early bird deadlines are, and then trying to make those for festivals that you've identified as places that might work for you and the type of work that you produce is really important to, being smart about cost in terms of submitting.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, super important, right? There's such a big difference. And I'm not a festival programmer, but I would probably recommend not submitting to the late extended deadline that some of these class have. I just feel like at that point it's really, really difficult. But that's a really great strategy. Anyone else have any tips or things that you guys have done to try to reduce or help with the costs?
I mean, I have one. Well, because I think when I finished my first film, I was broke, like super broke. So what I did was that same kind of strategy. No, the exact same strategy of submitting early, but I'd say I finished my film in February. My festival run started in like September, October. So what I did was I started working or just getting money where I could, and I put little money here and there away. And basically, whenever a new festival opened its early bird, I would just submit immediately. And that's kind of how it was. So over a number of months, when festivals were opening, I was submitting, making some money. So maybe one a week, one every couple of weeks. And then at the same time, what I was doing was saving money in a side pocket for traveling. So because it was going to take X amounts of months before I'd even start going to any festivals to start to even accept the film, I basically saved up a healthy chunk of money to be able to travel with the film. So that's why I'd say there's no rush. I know that, like, as young filmmakers, you might be wanting to, oh, I need this to happen now. I want this to happen now. But what you have to realize is that, like, this is an old person industry. Like, any new filmmaker or new director or a writer you're hearing about, how old are they? The earliest age you really hear about any of these people are in like their mid-30s. Like, and that's because, and the people that you look up to and you love their work, they're in like their 40s and 50s, if not later. So it's an old person industry. So as you are right now and you're young, like, I know it's counterintuitive to say take your time, but the truth is that, like, take your time a little bit so that once it starts going, you can use your youthful energy to, like, take advantage of stuff, you know? So yeah, if you don't have money and you're broke, take your time. That's what I'll say.
It's an old people's business, guys. God damn, I feel so old. 40's old. 40's old. I love that. Any other thoughts?
One thing that I guess not a lot of people do is to ask for waivers. Actually, like, if you've made, I guess, like a connection with someone, or if you know someone, if you have the email of a programmer somewhere, just ask for a waiver. And there's
Hey, Don, he's frozen, right? Okay. Yeah, waivers, you guys are obviously, I'm sure some of you guys have done that in the past. Super important. I think some programmers really like it. It's surprising. Like, I've talked to programmers who are like, I appreciate it when people reach out. I think the key thing there is, you know, put something into it that has given it thought, that gives direct personal connection, experience, your understanding of their programming and festival and appreciation of that. Sending out a form letter and being like, writing a generic letter and then blasting that out to 100 festivals is not going to be a good strategy. But I do think that, again, to subsidize the cost, that is one way to definitely connect. And it gives you a reason to reach out to people and do a little bit of research. But that can definitely help. I'm sure you guys have utilized waiver asks. Any other little things that you guys feel like help?
I mean, I've seen, like, coming out of my thesis year, a lot of people did fundraising for their films. I was supposed to, and then COVID hit, and it felt very inappropriate to launch a fundraiser right away.
Right, it's so hard.
Yeah. But a lot of people, like, when you're raising your budget, you take into account the festival fees. Like, you just plan ahead that way and put it into your production budget.
Yeah. I think there's something to fundraising on the back end that way that people don't realize, especially when we're talking about things like crowdsourcing, where it's like you have the film, and so now you're just asking people to support you in exchange for the film, as opposed to, can you just give me some money so I can go try to make something, and I promise I'll make it or I'll make it good. At least this way you have something to show them. And I think there's something to being overly protective of your work as well. I think, you know, don't be precious with your work. You know, I think the more people that see it can help you. The more people who, like, some people are like, no, I can't show you, it hasn't premiered anywhere. And it's like, that's the whole point of showing it to people, so that you can premiere somewhere, or you can premiere at the best place. So don't be precious with that. And I think there are really good strategies to consider on the back end to help. And I think, to William's point, you have to think long term. You know, this is a long tail. This career is a long tail, because the craft is all about mastering. This craft does not happen overnight. And so with that long tail in mind, if you think and know and you truly understand the importance of physically being at these places, putting your money in, or saving up, right? And thinking in terms of a year ahead or 2 years ahead, and really focusing on that sort of these short-term goals is going to help tremendously. Going into it blindly, making a movie, great. That is an accomplishment in itself, but that's one phase. And you could have a movie in your hands and then be like, what? Now it costs this much to start even just submitting, which at the end of the day has no guarantees. That's almost like it's almost like gambling in some ways, in the sense that you're giving money away with no potential return. And so it's really important to stay on top of that and be really smart about that. I think, the biggest thing I see just in regards to, in some ways film culture and filmmakers, and I'm curious to see how you guys are approaching this, but transparency, you guys, so important. It's like, it's great to be able to go look up some descriptions and reviews on Film Freeway, but it's really, there's nothing like talking to other filmmakers and getting their experience and like getting their like, oh, you gotta submit to this place because I was there. I've been to Mill Valley. It's awesome. It's just up north. Like it's not on the radar on most people. It might not be on most people's radar, but they hear from you. How do you guys, obviously you guys have your circles with film schools, but is there anything broader where you guys communicate and are transparent with information for festivals that can potentially help you?
I know that one of my professors in college, who knew my work really well, was a really great resource for me when I was beginning to submit for Night Riders, because like it was kind of a weird experimental animated film, and for most festivals it's not necessarily the thing they're looking for, but she has also made some experimental work and was like, you know what, you should really look at these places because like I've been there, it was a great festival and they celebrate this kind of work. So just also speaking to filmmakers who just have been at this longer than you have, and who have the experience, but like, under their belts is really important. As well as just like, keeping up with friends and sending texts, just like asking about how the festival was, because I think it's just important knowledge to share with each other, and kind of uplift each other that way.
Yeah. I mean, I think, Rain, you were going to say something?
Oh yeah, just to add on to that, like, yeah, I have friends where, like, I think I originally heard from NFFTY from a friend in my high school class who was like, I went to this, you need to submit, we need to go together next year.
Yeah.
And then also when you see films, like maybe in your screening, you're like, oh, this person makes similar stuff to me. You can always be like a creeper on the internet and like maybe look at their website, see what other film festivals they've been in. And it goes the same for like submitting to festivals. You can always look at what films they've selected before. You can like search them up, like watch the films on Vimeo if they're out there, and see if your film might be the programmer's cup of tea.
Totally, right? I mean, that's part of the research, like understanding. And if you find films or you watch films that are similar to yours, that's the first thing you should be doing. You should be stalking the film and being like, I wonder where this played. And that'll be a really great starting for a list for the places that you want to sort of attack. As we're wrapping down here, I think, a really important thing Jules mentioned of seeking help, like asking people who have more experience than you. It's the most mind-blowing thing, being a professor at a film school and university, how that doesn't seem natural. Like they're in their own world that they want to do this thing, but it's like, and you're like, my door's open, please come talk to me. And again, just from the sharing of their films to information to everything else, that people I would be taking advantage of that as openly and as freely and as much as possible, right? And I think there's this great anecdote I just want to sort of, as we close down on with, is a student of mine was telling, he's a crazy horror fan. He saw this horror film that was unbelievable. And I won't mention the name. And so him and his group of friends who do these horror watch parties looked up the director and started watching everything this guy made. And every other film this guy made sucked, like beyond belief sucked. And they were like, he made this masterpiece, but everything else sucked. How did that happen? So they looked up his commentary, and in the commentary, he was complaining for that masterpiece that he had to compromise on everything he wanted to do. Like, he's like, I wanted to do this, but I had to do this. I wanted to do this, but I had to do this. And at the end, it turned out to be the best film he's ever made. And I thought that was really funny, but I think there's something really important to that. And the big lesson there is just ego. And I know it's hard, it's easy for people, especially young filmmakers, to move forward and feel like they know everything. Like they're like, I got a handle on it. Plus it's art. It's subjective. Like it doesn't matter what other people think. Like what I think is what matters the most. I mean, in the sense of like, I know everything. You have to understand that this is a collaborative process. Film is. You're never in a bubble. And all of like letting go of that and not feeling like I'm only applying to Sundance, South by and Tribeca and whatever because my shit's awesome. And people are going to recognize that. And letting go of that, I think, can really help you, and opening it up and allowing people to help you, opening yourself up, letting that go, right, is not only going to serve you well as a filmmaker, but it's really going to serve you well in life. And I know it's a very fine line between confidence and arrogance. And you just got to pay attention to that. And if you do, a lot of things open up for you, and a lot of opportunities open up for you. The way that you approach festivals opens up for you. So keep that in mind as you move forward. So as we wrap up here, I just want to, if you guys have any shout outs or thoughts, or what your next thing is, or what your next steps are, or films that you want to promote, or festivals you hope to play in next, maybe we can go around and share that. Jules, why don't you start?
I just to go back to a point that William had made earlier about like people who are a little shy. I found that, you know, for young filmmakers, all the filmmakers who are there love movies. No one, you know, goes to a film festival and is like, I hate movies. No one ever talked to me about a movie ever again. Like if you just go up to someone in like the filmmaker lounge and just say like Pacific Rim or something like that, like that'll probably start a conversation. And it's like, who doesn't want to talk about giant robots? So, you know, don't overthink it. Just have fun. Like everyone loves movies. So just, you know, revel in that energy.
Yeah, such a great note. William?
Yeah, and I think just on the idea of collaboration is that me, when I was like a teenager, I thought I knew everything. I went to film school and it bit me in the butt, because what you have to realize is that it takes a village to make a film. The more people you have on it, the more eyes, the more different experiences. At the end of the day, it just makes what you're making better. And at the end of the day, ego is the worst thing, because on a film, as a director, I don't matter. The producers don't matter. The actors don't matter. The executives, investors, no one matters. The only thing that matters is the film and making it to the best you can. Just go forward with that.
Awesome. Great advice. Theo?
Yeah, I guess just jumping off of William, I mean, film is a collaborative process, and you should approach it as a group effort. And you should, you know, it doesn't mean you need to know everybody in the world. As long as you have a few key people who you get along with, and you know that each of you are very, very passionate and are very dedicated to getting this film forward and this film out there. That's so incredibly important, and it just makes, you know, all the difference, and it turns, you know, writing on a, you know, the page of a script into a reality, into, you know, the film. So yeah, I mean, just I think, and another important thing is, I mean, collaboration and continuing to work. Like, I mean, film, writing, acting, you know, produce anything. It's all a muscle that you have to continue to work. And, you know, don't be discouraged by rejections, and you know, don't be content with your successes either. I mean, I really think that, you know, continue to make, continue to create, and only through that continued process can you get better. And see your, you know, your group of people, your, you know, vision, or, you know, just film in general come to life for you. So yeah, just keep on doing.
Absolutely, right? As the saying goes, you're only as good as your last project. You got to keep looking. You can't just settle on what you have. Rain?
Yeah, I think that like it can be very validating to get into festivals, and like a lot of people can get caught up in like, oh, this is the kind of film that festivals want. But I think that a lot of the time, like, don't make a film just to get into a festival. Make the film that you want, and then find the festivals that suit it. Like,
Yep.
if you want to make genre film but are worried that like serious festivals aren't interested in it, don't worry about that. There's like audiences for any kind of film, and you'll find your people. And yeah, make the film that you want to make, because otherwise it's not going to be worth it.
Yep. Such a great note. So many festivals, so many specific festivals, so many amazing festivals. Don't get caught up in that. Don't get caught up in the brand and the hype. Don?
Yeah, speaking on just like the idea of moving forward despite the rejections, like I'm at a point where me and my peers, when we catch up, we just ask each other, how many festivals have we gotten rejected into? Like it's almost like a joke that, oh, I got rejected to this and that and this and that. And I think it's, it's that attitude. It's just to keep it up, because like not everyone is there, or like your film is not perfect for this festival or for that festival. Sometimes it's very specific, and yeah, like little kind of like rejections like that sometimes really don't matter. In the end of the day, you keep moving forward, you make your next film, and
Yeah.
that's kind of like an attitude that, especially in these times, it's pretty difficult with like the pandemic and everything. Getting more rejections might be tough, but having like a good attitude with it is very important, and just keeping your focus, because you're a filmmaker, just keep going. Next film is there.
Yeah. Next ideas are there for sure. If you guys came up with one great idea, I promise you that won't be your only one. You're going to have many more. Yeah, I mean, I think collaboration, to wrap it up, you guys, just is so important. And I think looking at the process as you guys do, you guys are so wise already. But thinking in terms of festivals, you guys are your partners. They're not your enemy. They're part of your process. Nobody is making a movie so they can just put it on their shelf. We're all making movies so that we can reach the broadest audience. They're there for that. They support and love filmmakers. That's why festivals are created. Utilize them and make them a part of that collaborative process that you guys know about filmmaking. Make them a part of your journey each year. Develop the places that you've gone to continue to hone that relationship, so that when you go out, when you're done with films, that you have this huge network of film festivals that are ready and there to support your projects and your voice and your stories. And if you start building that out with the amount of festivals there are in the world, you really have something substantial to, like, every time you have something, if you have those relationships in place and continue to prove to them, you have an amazing, amazing platform to really get your work out there through fests, and then build off of that momentum and do so much more. So our hour's up. I just want to thank CineYouth and NFFTY. Thank you for inviting me to host, moderate this. You guys were amazing. So much. So excited for this next generation and wave, as always. I know you guys are going to do some amazing things. So I can't wait to see your names at festivals. And who knows, our paths, I'm sure, are going to cross at some point. So if I run into you, if I don't come up to you or recognize you first and you recognize me, make sure you come up and say hi. I'd love to meet you guys in person soon. So with that, I think, Ryan, are we wrapped?
We're wrapped. Thank you so much, everyone. Yeah, it's been a wonderful conversation, and it's been a pleasure having all of you here. Everyone have a great day.